Hi, James, newly anointed all-time career receiving leader and defensive standout Reggie Coffey will be here for questions and spoke with Mike today. So, Coach, ready to go?
Hope everybody's good. I guess it's been 2 weeks. So, had a good open week. It was good. It's good to get the win over Morehead State. A lot of things we could clean up off of that last week. I think we just really focused on us, just getting better at execution, get better doing different things. You know, had a good week of practice. So we had to dodge lightning a lot. There were a couple times we had to leave and come back to have practice. Kids did a good job handling all that stuff, but there was a lot of lightning delays the past week. But we were able to get to work in. I hope hopefully the kids had a good weekend. They went, you know, we gave them Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. So I'm hoping we're breathing fire today. We should be at practice. We need to have some good days this week and get ready to go. Obviously looking at Furman, good team. Preseason picked to win the league. Just had a big win over Kennesaw State where I think they kicked a field goal in the last seconds to win the game, beat a good team. Excited about playing them. You know, it's a kind of deal where we got a lot of kids that have played them several times. They got a lot of kids that have played us several times. They got a very veteran team. It was funny, we've even gone back and watched film as early as the spring season of 21, and it's a bunch of the same kids, you know, so over time you see each other a lot, and you get to know each other really well schematically, and you know, one of the things we really focused on this past week was, you know, we don't want to get too cute. We don't want to I know one thing that happens to me in an open week, I get all kinds of great ideas with extra time, you know, and we're going to be who we are, run our stuff, execute, be really physical. You know, the bottom line is, you know, they haven't beaten themselves at all, so you can't give them anything cheap. So we got to take care of the ball, and we got to call some turnovers. We got to be really tough finishing drives in the red zone and stopping them in the red zone. Their quarterback's a good player. He's a really good runner. Makes really good decisions. Really tough kid. They're not as veteran, I think, up front offensively, but they're still good. But all the skill guys were back, and then defensively, it seemed like the entire team, maybe one nose guard is gone. But it's a very veteran group. They tackle well, they run to the ball, they play hard. So they're a good team, and they're deserving of preseason ranking. You know, so obviously, if you go play good, you got a chance to win. If you don't play good, it's going to be a long day. So we're going to go play good. That's what we're going to do. Excited about that opportunity, and it's a big game. But it's the next game, too. You can't, you know, every game's big. Every SoCon game's big. We're in the conference now. You look at our league, you don't know what's going to happen week to week. You know, you look at Western, you know, beating the stew out of Sanford last weekend, and you just see scores that are all over the place, and it's a tough league, and everybody can beat you. And so it's a big game because it's the next one, but I ain't going to lie, it's a big game. it's Mercer versus Furman. So excited about the opportunity. So questions for me?
First, looking back at Morehead State, you have a few guys you target defense.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to know your thoughts on that and how you're going to adjust what you guys missed in the first half.
I think, you know, we talked about it a lot. You don't want all of a sudden become passive. You know, you want to be aggressive on defense. You want to fly around. You want to strike people, and we just got to understand, you know, what a defenseless player is. When is it the guy defenseless? I mean, when a quarterback slides at the last second, that's tough. You know, at the very last second, the guy could actually lower his shoulder and try to run over you. But at the last moment, he decides to slide, and we got to be able to pull up a little quicker and not get him in that head area. And you know, but the down the field, we got to play the ball probably a little better, go for the ball a little bit more. But we got to be, you know, we got to hit in the chest area, got to hit in the stomach area. You know, it's not always easy when you're trying to be aggressive, but it's something we've talked about, and I think it all hopefully just all happened in one game, kind of a weird game, and got to strike with our eyes up. And so even one on the kickoff, you know, we got our kids' heads down, the daggone runner's head. I've never seen two kids run into each other like that. They're both going to get hurt if they're not careful. So we got to just strike with our eyes up, but we've got to be aggressive, and we got to go strike things. And if you're being really aggressive, it's going to happen every once in a while. We just don't need three of them in one game.
Now looking forward to Furman, the team that's allowed quite a few passing yards, and your guys' rush attack has been great so far, but how do you kind of plan to attack that secondary this week?
Well, when you look at them, they've been really tough against the run. Okay, I think South Carolina had like 100 yards rushing in the game. I still think it's about being balanced. We got to run the football. We got to run the football well if we're going to win the game. But we also understand they're tough against the run, so we got to do a good job. I got to do a good job mixing up the calls and giving our guys things they can execute, getting the ball to our playmakers in space some. But we got to run it up in there some too. We're not going to make a living the whole day doing that, but we've got to mix that up and just try to make them think about one more thing, make them look at one more thing. But obviously our playmakers out on the edge need to have a big day. We need to execute those things. Carter's got to do a good job. We can't have empty plays. You can't have situations where it's there. And if you just execute a little bit better, you can't be 2nd and 10 because, we missed a flat route or a guy dropped a ball or we weren't exactly the right depth. There's got to be really good execution. And anytime you can gain 5 yards, man, you got to feel good about that. But there's going to be some plays down the field that are there if we'll just execute and be patient. So number 1's got to play good. Number 13's got to play good. I think they will.
You talk about watching film. You watch film all the way back to 2021, like you said. But
I've had too much time on my hands the last 2 weeks, man.
When you talk about games like South Carolina and Kennesaw State where they had a tough one, which one out of those two would you kind of prefer watching or take things from where a team like South Carolina where they're supposed to go in and win have maybe a different personnel where Kennesaw State is kind of more balanced to where this league is at? Which film do you really look at and what do you kind of take more from?
Well, we're looking at the Tennessee Tech game because there's a lot of things all 3 of those teams do that are similar to us, and you're trying to see how they're trying to attack them, and so you're trying to take a little bit out of every game. I thought Furman played South Carolina really hard. South Carolina obviously mismatched them some down the field on some deep throws and just won some jump balls and some things. But there's a little bit of something in each game that is similar to us, and you're just trying to get a beat on them. At this point, like I said, when you play people, they've had the same. Dwayne's been the defense coordinator there for whatever it is now, 6 or 7 years. I mean, you're kind of facing each other every year, so every year you're kind of trying to figure out, okay, where are they going to go with this now? What's the next step in what they're doing? What's the next step in what we're doing? It's not like we've never seen each other. So you try to put a plan together that gives you a good chance to kind of know where they're going to be at as much as possible, and the kids got to make plays. You got to execute. So you take a little bit from every game. We've looked at some games from last year, and like I said, we even went back and watched a game from 3 years ago and just trying to find any little thing you can. But the bottom line is we got to go be who we are. We're not going to make up a whole new offense or a whole new defense. We got to go execute and be who we are.
Last game against Morehead State, first half kind of came out slow. Second half, you guys kicked it off. But kind of tell me, how do you prevent coming out slow against a team like Furman that if you do come out slow, they might just step on the gas?
I don't think the kids will be ready to play, but we got to be ready to execute right out of the gate. So we can't just feel our way through it, So if you look at the Morehead State game, we started off pretty fast. We really did. Then you got a chance to get off the field and you get a targeting, so some mistakes we made. I mean, when you have 75 yards worth, we had 5 15-yard penalties. That's not just 75 yards. That's the extra plays they get now on top of that. So you got to get off the field in those situations. So, that kept them on the field a little bit. If we can eliminate some of those things, I think we run them on out of the stadium in the first half. So it's situational football. It's understanding when you make mistakes, you keep people alive. They get a little more confidence. Certainly Furman's a different animal. But starting fast and playing well right out of the gates obviously is critical. I wish I knew how to bottle that up all the time. It's sometimes, we got them too amped up. Well, we don't have them amped up enough. Well, and so the bottom line is we have a veteran team, especially on defense. We need to go play fast, play with a lot of confidence. There's no reason in the world for us not to start fast and play well.
You talked about getting the ball into your playmakers' hands. Did you feel like the offense got into a bit of more rhythm there in the second half against Morehead and got the ball to Devin Tide more in the way you guys want to?
Probably so. I mean, and the thing about it was, too, I felt like our defense played really good the second half, and you get more opportunities offensively. And it's just complimentary football, So I can't remember what it was. I think in the first half against Morehead, what do we have, like 18 offensive plays? So we either scored, I think we had 3 touchdowns, but it was either 2-play drives or we had 2 3-and-outs, So we can't have lulls offensively. We're having 3-and-outs, but then, defense got to get off the field and get the ball back. So it's just complimentary football. I think in the second half we had special teams touchdown. We had offensive touchdowns, and the defense was making a punt. So you get complimentary football, and then all of a sudden you separate. So I just felt like the first half, it was a very strange half. We got to play better. I liked their quarterback at Morehead State. I thought he was a really good player. Definitely an upgrade from last year for them. They'll win some games in their league. But at the same time, complimentary football, getting off the field defensively, staying on the field offensively, hidden yardage and special teams, all those things work together to help you separate.
Is having a bye week this early kind of a weird disjointed kind of feel? How is that? Is it more of a challenge than a gift sometimes?
I don't know, because it depends on how good we play this Saturday. You know what I mean? I'll answer that. Dang, I wish we'd have played last weekend. You have more time to prepare. Maybe you got a little more time to get their legs back on them, let them decompress a little bit. At the same time, do you lose some rhythm? It just depends. There's times where they ask me, would you rather have the open week right before you played certain teams? If you're playing a team that's running double slot, triple option, sometimes it's nice to have an open week because you're facing something totally different. With Furman, they're running, I can say normal things, but they're running kind of normal stuff. So, it gives us a little more time to prepare. Does it throw off our rhythm? I don't know. I feel like this came at a good time for us, just as a coach of Mercer right now. But the bottom line is we got to go play good for 3 hours on Saturday, and that still remains to be seen.
You get to watch any football yourself on Saturday?
I watched all kinds of football, Saturday, Sunday. I mean, we got all this stuff. You've got to the point now where you've got film on every college football team in the country that you have access to. You can just get it, So you sit there and who's doing a good job? And you watch it, and that's my problem is I start watching people. I'll copy anything from anybody, So you get to watching a whole bunch of stuff, but it was a good weekend. Got to smoke some ribs in the smoker. My wife did a good job with that. Got to have a little cookout. I actually swung the sticks one time, so it was a good weekend.
As a coach, can you even relax and lean back and watch a game like a fan, or are you always breaking it down analytically?
I can relax, but it's still happening hey, my wife gets really pissed off at me because I got the clicker and I'm rewinding stuff. She's like, can we just watch a game on TV? And I'm hitting rewind. How'd they do that? How'd they do this? I can't shut that off.
Coach, last year Furman got the best of you guys. Any sense of revenge or any sense of anything?
This is the 23 team. That was the 22 team. And you try to do anything, you're trying to put anything you can to, if we need motivating this week, then we got the wrong players, honestly. And I don't think we got the wrong players, so it's still about executing with confidence what you're doing. So we certainly, that was a rough one last year against them, so we certainly want to play better and get it back in the win column. That's it? All right, thank y'all.
Richie, coffee? Just a reminder also, we do have game notes that are on the table in the corner there in front of Richie, so go ahead, Richie.
Hello.
Talk about your performance this year and how you think the defense has done for the first 3
My performance personally, I don't think the first 2 games went as well as I'd like them to, but I got back in the lab and did some more conditioning week 3, or week 2, but week 3 for us. And the Morehead State game went well for myself. I think I had 6 tackles, a pretty big hit in the flat. And defensively, we've been working out the kinks the first 3 weeks, but I think we've been improving every week, and we'll just continue to get better.
This ground attack from Furman's pretty solid, right? And you guys, you're back in the secondary. How do you kind of add a little pressure to help out those guys up front in a game like this where they might be running the ball pretty often?
Well, I think the key to it all is doing your job. Coach Taylor is really big on PYP, which is play your position. And as long as everybody does their responsibility, we'll be just fine.
Coach talked about the halftime adjustments against Morehead State. How did you feel that you guys responded in that second half defensively?
Well, I think the biggest thing about Morehead State was, obviously those targeting calls, and then just pretty much the quarterback run game, like being able to get out of the pocket. But the second half, we were able to adjust and kind of contain them a little bit more. Other than that, they didn't really have too much going on, and but we expected that though. As a defense, we know we're decent, but we're not great yet. So we expect to go out and shut folks out. But after we made those adjustments, we took care of business.
When a leader like Lance goes out in the first half, what's the talk on the sideline with you guys?
It was next man up. And we all love Lance. He's a great player. He's my personal friend. But it was just next man up because we have young guys who are very capable of coming into the game, and the fall off isn't much at all, if there isn't.
Do you feel like you guys stepped up to the task? How do you think you guys stepped up when he went out?
I feel like the guy that came in was Tommy Bliss, and I love Tommy Bliss too. He stepped up as we expected, and if Tommy Bliss would have went down and Jawan Johnson would have came in, and the fall off minimum fall off. So we expect guys to get in and perform well, and that's what they did.
3 games in, what is the identity of this defense from your perspective?
Stop the run and don't give up no deep balls.
Big conference opener this week against Furman. What do you guys take from that game and really just the conference schedule last year and how exciting is it just finally getting to play a conference opponent now?
Well, what we took from the game last year was the only time teams score on us is if we give them points. So it's not anything that they just outplayed us. It's stuff that we gave them. And we're very excited about opening up, especially against Furman. You know, it's a conference rival. But, you know, we be so riled up in practice that, you know, we try to kind of just keep our composure until we let it loose on game day. So, but we're definitely excited.
Do you think it's better to face these top teams kind of in the conference early in the season, or would you like to face them later in the season when things are kind of getting down to the wire?
We will face whoever, whenever, wherever.
Thanks, Rich.
Richie, is our bench still on?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Senior wide receiver Ty James, I have this in the notes, 13-yard catch early in the second quarter against Morehead, made him the program's all-time career receiving leader. He ended up finishing last game 5 catches, 146 yards. So Ty James, everybody.
Todd, just kind of talk about that, right? First of all, leading receiver here. What does that mean to you, and just kind of about your journey to this point so far?
You know, it means a lot to me just seeing, you know, when you get the record, you know, you kind of reflect on it. And first thing I went in the locker room, I told Coach, just thank you, you know, for trusting me, developing me. You know, I know when I got here, I wasn't as good as I am now, as mature as I am now. And then, you know, I almost started tearing up a little bit afterwards in the interview, just being able to give my dad that game ball and stuff like that. You know, it just, you know, it means a lot. You know, it's not something that a lot of guys get to do in their careers, so I couldn't have been more grateful.
This coming week, the past game might be big for you guys, right? How do you look to create those explosive plays like Coach talks about that really win games at some points?
Just sticking to the game plan and being patient with your role. You know, as a receiver, every receiver wants the ball. If you play, you know, we kind of like the divas on the team or whatever it is. But, you know, we had the bye week and then we'll have this week to prepare. So, you know, we trust our coaches that they're going to put together a good game plan. And then kind of when those opportunities come, we gotta make those plays.
Any corners you've seen on film so far that you kind of, when you get that matchup, you're like, hey, let's go attack it, give me the ball. Is there anyone you've kind of seen so far one-on-one?
I mean, you know, I want to match up with all of them, of course, just kind of see, you know, where I compare. But, you know, number one for Furman, he's been there, you know, as long as I've been here. So these last 4 years, you know, the matchup's always been fun. We've always went back and forth competitiveness, so just kind of looking forward to it. We'll see how this last one goes.
In a game against Morehead where, you know, maybe you and Dev aren't getting the ball as much as you used to, what's your relationship like with Carter in those moments? Is it a get me the ball thing, like let's get it going, or are you aware of your role? How does that kind of dynamic play out?
Yeah, I mean, and it just goes back to the trust with the coaches. You know, I know that, you know, Coach Cronic has that trust in me. So, you know, if the ball's not coming my way or the plays aren't coming my way, you know, it's never, you know, I never get upset or anything like that. And same with Dev. And then just kind of on the sidelines, you know, when you're talking to PV, you know, you kind of relay coverages and stuff like that. But especially in the Morehead game, you know, you look at the scoreboard and I think we had scored like 3 out of our first 5 or something like that. So, you know, you never want to be mad when you're putting up points. And then I knew our chance was going to come in the second half, and then it came. So,
what's your relationship like with that? Is it a bit of a friendly competition out there?
oh, always. It's funny because even after the game, you know, I had the all-purpose record, and he was close to breaking it. And just after the game, you know, I shot him a little joke, like, you know, maybe next time, bud, or something like that, you know. And then just kind of before the games and after the games, like, hey, I bet I get more yards than you, or I bet I have a bigger block than you, or something like that. And it just makes us both play better.
And then matching up against a team like Furman this weekend, how important are you two going to be to the equation this week?
Yeah, you know, hopefully You know, we're going to try to stay in the whole game this time. But, yeah, I feel like what we bring to the table and what we can do on the field is going to be big for us Saturday. And, you know, we just got to make sure we go out there and play our best and do what we can do and kind of, you know, bounce off each other.
Any extra juice this weekend?
Oh, 100%. 100%. You know, the next game is always your biggest game. But just seeing how it went last year, you know, we got a lot of guys looking forward to this matchup. I know I am, and you know, even this morning, me and Deb, we probably sat in the locker room after workouts for about 45 minutes talking about this week. So, yeah, we'll be ready, and we're looking forward to it.
Just remind everybody in attendance, we do have lunch available, ribeyes and mashed potatoes and broccoli and sugar. So feel free to partake. Again, there are game notes available on the front table for any members of the media that want them. So thank you for coming today. Appreciate it.
Okay, now you can do that. Very exciting. Going to Furman? Am I going to Furman? No. This day and age, you can get